Greetings, comrades. Well, as you can see, I finally broke down and got a camera for recording these, which I hope works okay. I think it'll work a little bit better. It seems to pick up the light better, and heaven knows the quality should be better than the webcam on my computer, although that was fine. But I finally got a little setup going here, so we'll see, and I hope I can get it to work. What I want to do here is part of a December haul. Part of it, not this first part, maybe the second or third part, is going to be the children's books, and there's a lot of them because I realized I was supposed to do a third haul for October, which I never got around to. I ended up getting sick, and I think my just brain fogged out. So these are books from December haul, which I hadn't intended to buy any books in December, but we all know how that goes. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. The first one I've got here is McGrae's Christmas. It's one of my favorite authors. I only started reading him not too long ago. He's a French author. He writes the Inspector McGrae series that take place in Paris, and they've been, most of them have been translated into English, and I really like them a lot. This one has other stories in it as well, so I think it's just a book and other stories and they're like police procedural murder mystery types. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I had hoped to get to it this Christmas, but didn't quite make it. So, the next one is also a murder mystery. It's called the New York Trilogy. There are 3 books in here, City of Glass, Ghosts, and The Locked Room. And it's by Paul Auster, if that's how I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name. I also have not ever read anything by him, but I've been curious about his work for a while. So, I can't remember how I came across this, but it's a trilogy. It sounds really intriguing, a little bit different from a straightforward murder mystery, so I'm anxious to read that this year. Now, the next one, this one's a book. I don't usually read too many books about just straightforward magic and stuff, but I saw this at the used bookstore, and look at this cover. How could you resist this cover? I picked it up, and I put it down, and I left the store, and the next time I came back, I looked at it again, and didn't get it. Finally, by the third time, I just said, what the hell? I've manhandled it by now every time I come in here. So it actually does sound like a pretty interesting story. A young guy who, it takes place, I think, in like Regency, England. There's an Oxford College of Magic, and he goes there, and after some little nefarious things one evening, which end in disaster, he gets booted out, and he goes to spend the summer with one of his professors who has a daughter. Now, women are not allowed to study magic in this world that's been created, but she has always wanted to, and she's read all of her father's books. He's let her, he doesn't really care. So anyway, he finds out that there may be more going on to what happened that night, that things turned out badly when he was in Oxford than they originally thought. So I guess it kind of becomes an adventure with them trying to find out what happened, political intrigue and some scholarly stuff and things like that. So it also sounded good, aside from being just a freaking beautiful cover. So the next one, we get more kind of into the steampunk, I think. Nowhere on the back of this one, it's called The Unnaturals. Oh, I'm sorry. The Queen of The Midnight Queen is this book, and it is by Sylvia Izzo Hunter, Hunter. Sorry, Sylvia. Okay, this next book is called The Unnaturals by Tiffany Trent, and I've seen this one around a few times. It doesn't say anything in the blurb as far as being a steampunk kind of novel goes, but there's, in the background of the back, which is also fairly nice, you see gears, and there's like, steam coming out of this kind of alternate world Big Ben, it looks like. So I think that probably is a steampunk novel. And it also has some witchcraft stuff in it, but it's an adventure story. A guy and a girl hook up. Steampunk adventure. It sounded like fun. I just came across it at the used bookstore, so I went ahead and got it. This next one I probably don't have to tell you about. It's by Christopher Priest, called The Prestige. Now, I've been wanting to read this for years. I've been wanting to read it ever since it came out, since before it came out, actually, and I just never got around to it, and I never even ended up getting a copy of it. So I finally decided to go ahead and get one. And this one also has to do with some magic. It's about a couple of magicians who kind of tangle at one point, and then their lives just end up being entangled thereafter as they kind of try and duel each other and outdo each other and all kinds of things. I see this listed under steampunk and also under not, so I'm not really sure what, if any, genre it falls into, but it's got a really good review. It's supposed to be very well written, and I've been curious about it for a long time, so I went ahead and picked that up since I was treating myself. Okay, let's go to this one. This next one is called The Anubis Gate by Tim Powers. Now, this one doesn't really sound to me like it has anything about to do with steampunk anyway, but I always see it listed as like one of the founding father novels, if you want to call it that, of steampunk. But it does have to do with time travel, and it sounds really good, so I wanted to go ahead and get that since I'm starting off on the steampunk thing. And then, steampunk, much more recent, I've been curious to read something by Gail Carriger. And I looked at the Soulless books. I don't know, the story for that one just didn't really appeal to me. This one is, seems a little bit more lighthearted. I don't know. It's about etiquette and espionage, the fine art of finishing others. And as you can see, she's got a pair of scissors in her hand, and I don't think she's getting ready to sew something with them. So, anyway, if you know about steampunk, you probably know about this author, and she's supposed to be really good. So I decided to pick this one to try her rather than the Soulless. And actually, this one and the next two were part of my, well, they weren't part, they were all of, at work we do a Secret Santa, and I had put these three books, this one and the next two, on my list of books that I wanted, and my Secret Santa, whoever it was, gave me all three of them. So I was so excited. And the next one that I got from my Secret Santa, also steampunk, is called Leviathan by Scott Westerfield. This is another one that always shows up on the list of, if you're going to read steampunk, this is one of the ones you want to read because it's supposed to be really good. This one takes place in kind of an alternate world, obviously. And it's World War II, and the Germans have the machinery stuff, and the Axis powers have the machinery. The Allies have more, I'm not sure what you would call it, but they're more like living, mutated beings that they're using to fight with. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit vague on that. It's been a while since I read it. I'm not sure what they call it in here, but one of them is like, inanimate objects, one is animate objects that are kind of fighting the war. But it's supposed to be an excellent book, and it does sound really good, so I'm excited to read that one. And the last one is another one I've been wanting to read for a while. I've been very curious about it. It's called Retribution Falls by Chris Wooding. I haven't ever read anything by Chris Wooding. He's another author that I've wanted to read for a while, and so I was happy to pick this up. And I've come across this one in looking at steampunk novels to read too. And one of the booktubers, Jen, I think her channel is called Today in Jen's Library. I'll try and put a link to it down below. Anyway, she reads mostly like YA, dystopian, post-apocalyptic kind of stuff, which I don't really read. But she read this, and she gave a really good review, and she absolutely loved it. And I've come across other people that love it, and so I'm really anxious and happy to get this book. I'm really anxious to read it. I've been wanting to ever since I heard about it. So that, I think, is going to do it for the non-children's book section of this. The children's book section will be a little bit longer, and because it has a few more books. But for now, that's it. So that's the first part of my December haul, okay? So happy reading and happy trails.